Welcome back. Finals, Gym Challenge, League Cup. 46 trainers entered, only 2 remain. It's Giovanni Costa and Aaron Brok. Gio just defeated Michael Kelsch, who, again, top 4 worlds this past year. Gio, a fantastic player in his own right, with a San Antonio regional win under his belt, and Aaron Brok, the only thing between him and a League Cup victory, the first title here in Regulation H. I'm Dennis Geisler, with me, Nicholas Stavrakis. Aaron's team, again, Tyranitar, Corviknight, Primarina, Hisuian, Decidueye, Electabuzz, and Volcarona. Gio's team, Dragonite, Garchomp, Amoonguss, Incineroar, Whimsicott, and Golden Go.
Well, Gio came to play with this team today, clearly.
That's for sure.
But just looking at it, it's like, we all know he's very familiar with these Pokemon that he's using. I know he loves this Dragonite. I've lost to it many times. But we really are I'm still rooting for this Decidueye. What's its matchup here? Probably not as good as the last game, considering.
It's definitely a little bit iffy in some of these parts.
Okay, his Dragonite is normal Terra this time, Geo's, so that's...
Yeah, it is the normal Terra with Choice Band, with Extreme Speed.
Oh, with no flying moves. So,
no flying
hey, like, maybe we might get to see Decidueye.
Potentially, yeah. I don't think there are any flying moves on, no flying moves on Gio's entire team, but plenty of stuff that's okay at dealing with the Decidueye, so
yeah.
We'll see how it manages into this matchup. We'll see what each of these two decides to lead here. I really like Gio's trainer card.
Yeah, it's cute.
I laugh every time I see it, and I always mention it. Gio leads with the Dragonite and the Golden Go on Aaron's side. Corviknight and Tyranitar. We didn't see that Tyranitar at all in the last set. Probably because the Tyranitar was always coming for Josh. No real reason to invite that mirror matchup. But we will see the T-Tar out now.
So Gio is doing a very hyper offensive lead here. We have both choice items, so one's Specs, one's Band.
Yeah,
so
that is a lot of damage,
that's
but
very,
you have to actually figure out what does damage to this team. I mean, Tyranitar and Corviknight are pretty bulky Pokemon, and they have pretty good matchups into a lot of stuff. I mean, Dragonite might have to click Ice Spinner in order to hit these things. Golden Go, I mean, could go for a big Make It Rain and see how much that does, but...
So we got the Terra going off here.
It's the Terra Steel Golden Go. Gonna go for that Tail Steel, Terra Steel Choice Specs, Make It Rain, all the damage in the world. See how much it actually does to this setup here. It's gonna be Extreme Speed onto the Tyranitar, trying to layer a little bit of extra damage on at the beginning. Then comes the Make It Rain.
This is gonna shred.
This does do a ton of damage.
Quite a bit on a Steel type even.
Destroys that Tyranitar. Does some shockingly good damage onto Corviknight. And Corviknight will get the Tailwind up in return, but Gio has to be pretty satisfied with the start of that one. Dragonite takes a little bit of that Sandstorm damage.
And what will Aaron bring in on this Tailwind?
Yeah, I mean, the problem here, I mean, Gio is locked into Choice Band and Make It Rain locked into Extreme Speed and Make It Rain between these two. But that means Dragonite is locked into Extreme Speed, so that Tailwind doesn't really matter a whole lot. Either of these Pokemon is going to get hit pretty hard by an Extreme Speed. And the choice is Decidueye. But Dragonite is still threatening it with a big Extreme Speed, and frankly, the Make It Rain will also... Make It Rain plus Extreme Speed, will that finish off Decidueye? It'll get pretty close. It might get pretty close.
Yeah, I think it's enough.
But certainly not if it goes for the Terrestrial. And Gio's just going to swap out the Golden Go. Probably a nice call.
Yeah, I can see that.
Going to get the big, and you get the big Terra Steel Choice Specs Make It Rain blast later, which is important to maintain.
And these Intimidates go nowhere.
Yeah, literally nothing. And there is the Terra on Aaron's side. That Terra Steel Decidueye.
Nice. That was a good call for the E-Speed. That was, yeah.
Yeah, it won't be hugely meaningful, but it will be marginally important. Like, it will matter. About 50 damage on that. Would have been double that without, so about half the HP. Corviknight gets a nice little roost up, so all that damage is gone now. Decidueye with
nice.
triple arrows into Incineroar. That's just going to pick up the knockout. Critical hit. That triple arrows, I mean, the scariest thing about the triple arrows is that it could either be like a pretty decent move, like 90 power, 100 accuracy, pretty decent, or like insanely strong, like 90 power and a crit and what's it called? And it flinches,
yeah,
or drops defense.
And he's paired it with the held item scope lens, so that's like even more of a crit chance on top of that.
I think between the triple arrows and the scope lens, it's a 50% crit.
Yeah, that's
on that move.
It's really good.
Which is really scary.
And to have all those, that's just such a crazy move. It's like probably the best. It's like, is that better than close combat?
Yeah.
Like, have they finally made a move better than close combat?
I think between everything, it's certainly better than close combat. It's just that it's on just one Pokemon. Let's see Primarina switch in here. Corviknight decides to head out of there. Decidueye protects. Dragonite's still in, so it'll have to be clicking that extreme speed. And it goes for the Decidueye, not going to get anything there.
Let's see, Whimsicott.
Whimsicott going to Encore.
That's actually still scary.
I mean, yeah, the problem here is that Decidueye will just get locked into Protect, so it might have to switch out here, but it's not a terrible thing if you have to switch into Corviknight.
Yeah, and now Dragonite might want to switch out of this Moonblast oncoming from Primarina.
Yeah, that's for sure. Potentially could Terra. I mean, you have to be pretty confident that Primarina's not going to switch out this turn. So you could Terra normal extreme speed here.
He's already Terra'd. He's going
already Terra'd. Man, yeah. I keep doing this. Extreme speed still comes out with the Primarina. I mean, that's good damage. Yeah, and if you lose your Dragonite, it's not the worst thing in the world, because now you get to bring out your Golden Go again, or whatever else. I guess it's just Golden Go is the last Pokemon.
Yeah, so Whimsicott goes for the Moonblast.
Oh,
doesn't get
not enough.
Again, our Spadef Queen.
It does have one turn of Sandstorm remaining. Does the Sandstorm subside here? No, looks like it's still going.
We get one more turn of it.
He has one more turn of Sandstorm. I wouldn't have thought.
Importantly, he's lost Tailwind this turn, so now Golden Go is probably the fastest thing on the field.
It's the last turn of Sandstorm.
Has Whimsicott even went for Tailwind yet? I don't think
it has. Not. No.
I think it's gonna. I think it'll happen now.
Yeah, it's certainly able to do that now. The question here is, what does Golden Go do? Like, do you try to trick away your choice specs so you're able to play around a little bit more? Do you just lock into Shadow Ball because it's going to be the best damage against both these, like, everything remaining? Maybe. I mean, you don't want to use, like, too many Make It Rains, you know? Whimsicott's going to protect. Primarina's going to protect. It'll drop to Sandstorm, I'd imagine. And Golden Go will lock into Shadow Ball. No trick, just locks into Shadow Ball, and that does good damage against Corviknight.
Mirror Armor.
Does get the Mirror Armor drop in return. Corviknight went for Brave Bird into Whimsicott, not going to connect.
Okay.
And the Sandstorm, no, the Sandstorm subsides before the damage.
Yeah, you don't get a chip before it goes.
So Primarina's still around. You still have to do something about that thing.
Right, so he...
Although at the same time, I think if you're Geo, you have to feel pretty comfortable just clicking your moves.
Yeah, it's like just click Shadow Ball. Your
Moonblast, Moonblast goes into Primarina. That picks up the knockout, and then Shadow Ball should knock out the Corviknight as well. Only place it can go. only thing it can do. Only place it can go. And that'll pick up the knockout. And now all that's left is that Decidueye.
Against opposing Tailwind. It's not looking good.
Yeah. I mean, Decidueye... Never count out triple arrows. Sorry, I was thinking of... I was thinking of Zygarde.
1,000 arrows.
I was thinking about Zygarde. Shadow Ball into the Decidueye. This is actually an important calc to see how much this does.
Okay.
Not enough to KO, but a lot of damage. Hold. Not enough. The triple arrows the other direction doesn't get enough.
Well, that's good to know for the next games.
That is pretty important.
Information.
That could come in very important in the next few games, and that means that Gio will win game number 1 game away for Giovanni Costa from our first cup victory. I mean, this is our first cup victory period here because it hasn't been called that before.
Oh yeah, it's like our new name.
Yeah.
Our rebranding.
It's an MSS, a mid-season showdown, rebranded to the cup.
Okay,
so,
but
pretty big deal.
One interesting thing to point out about Gio's Goldingo that we haven't said is that it is specs, but it does have trick and protect.
Yeah, so it's able to play. It's able to get rid of its specs and then play around not having specs,
which is very interesting.
But it needs to pick something to do that too. And I don't know in this matchup it actually wants to do that, because frankly, we saw how much that Shadow Ball does. What is Trick going to do that's going to make you feel better than just clicking that Shadow Ball?
Yeah, and like what item are you gonna take?
Yeah,
from the opposing side.
That's also true. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's like Assault Vest.
You can get the Eviolite off of Electabuzz, which could be nice. Like, you could get Scope Lens off of Decidueye, but it's just gonna hit you really hard regardless. Like, I don't really know.
And what do we think? How do we think that Aaron is gonna switch up here?
Oh man,
like,
it's gonna be tough. Like, you have to.
Because last time Gio went all hyper offense on the lead, is he going to do the same?
Yeah, I mean, you might just have to not bring Tyranitar, because we know that Tyranitar is not taking
it didn't do anything.
A hit from Golden Go. And we know that Gio, I mean, at this point in the tournament especially, like, having seen him do this a couple of times, we know that Gio is perfectly happy to click Terra Steel, make it rain, as soon as possible. Game number 2, Gio could lock it up here. Gio's going to lean Dragonite Golden Go once again. Aaron will switch things up with Corviknight and Volcarona. This is pretty typical Volcarona. It's the Protect, Heat Wave, Giga Drain, and Quiver Dance with Citrus Berry. I mean, crucially here, the Volcarona doesn't take a ton of damage to make it rain, and it scares off Extreme Speed because of Flame Body. So I like the Volcarona bring here. It's a really nice switch up.
Yeah, he needed to switch up, and he did it. Oh,
and Gio's probably going to try to switch a couple things up here. Incineroar is going to come in, which isn't going to do much Intimidate-wise, but it will mean that a Fake Out is a possibility. Ooh, does go for the Extreme Speed.
Does he get it?
He gets it. And the immediate Flame Body for Brock. I mean, I like the call out, just saying, no, you're not going to get that. But sometimes, 30% of the time, you do get it. Heat Wave comes through as well. Not going to do too much damage to either of these two. Tailwind comes up from the Corviknight. Now it's going to be tough for this Dragonite to play. Halved damage from these physical attacks means that it's not really going to get a whole lot done. And this Volcarona might be able to just go for Quiver Dance right now.
Yeah, they could try Quiver Dance. They could set up Bulk Up even. Like,
yeah, this could be like a very passive setup turn for Aaron if you want, just because. I mean, obviously the Fake Out is coming out.
But so yeah, but then is that
Dragonite, and I mean, I don't want to underrate Dragonite's damage. It is still Choice Band. It is still a Dragonite. It still does a lot of damage. But neither of these Pokemon is especially in danger of getting knocked out. Like, yeah, another Extreme Speed will not pick up the knockout here. I'm just gonna go for the Heat Wave, which is a little bit of an interesting call there.
Must have thought he must have wanted to switch.
Might have been trying to read a switch there, but Incineroar's just gonna U-turn out again. Gio's a real big fan of that Assault Vest Incineroar. A lot of people like the Parting Shot instead with the Citrus Berry or something, but Gio likes that Assault Vest and goes for the U-turn there. That's the one downside of Assault Vest is you have to use U-turn over Parting Shot, but right there works just fine.
You don't want a Parting Shot.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want a Parting Shot Corviknight, so you might as well.
It's like it was specifically for that.
Specifically, I mean, we've seen a lot of Corviknight today. Corviknight's been a really popular Pokemon in this very sand-heavy metagame that we've seen so far. Whimsicott is out now.
So now he can be in control of the Tailwinds. He sets Tailwind now. The opposing sides will end sooner.
I guess the big problem though is like, where is your damage against?
Yeah, it's like you can do that.
Like, where is your damage against Corviknight? How do you get rid of Corviknight? I guess Shadow Ball.
No endeavor.
Whimsicott goes for an early protect. I guess Gio's just trying to force his way through this Volcarona. Eventually you'll get there.
Right.
I mean, the next extreme speed onto Volcarona will knock it out. Corviknight going for a Brave Bird onto the Dragonite. Will it pick up the knockout? Yes, it does. We're down to the last two Pokemon for Gio.
The Gio was able to accomplish a lot with that Burn Dragonite.
It was able to get a little bit of work done. Oh no, the Incineroar is still here. I forgot it U-turned out. Apologies. Does get intimidated again. Yeah, and I guess the big concern here is, like, it's just, how do you deal with everything that's going to be in the back? You have to knock out, like, a lot of Pokemon. And even, we were talking about the Tailwind advantage. Gio's not going to have the Tailwind advantage because Corviknight's still going to be standing next turn
to reuse
when,
it.
when the Tailwind expires. So Whimsicott gets the Tailwind up now. The Fake Out doesn't do enough damage to knock out the Volcarona. It doesn't get to move, but the Brave Bird comes out from Corviknight into the Whimsicott. It is Focus Sash, so it will take that hit. Just 1 HP remaining there. Corviknight will take a bit of recoil damage back.
Okay, so
the question here is just, can
Incineroar stop?
Incineroar Flare Blitz has to knock out Corviknight here.
Maybe Flare Blitz plus Moonblast into that slot.
Maybe, but you have to get rid of the Volcarona as well, I think. I don't think you can leave Volcarona on the field right now.
Okay, maybe.
And Aaron also has the opportunity to say, oh, I see what your one condition of beating me here is.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this Corviknight right out of here.
So we're going to see Primarina come in.
Ooh, and Whimsicott went for the Encore. Incineroar goes for the U-turn, gets it out onto the Volcarona. That means Golden Go can come in now, which is nice for Gio. I mean, we can presume... Oh, no, we know it's Golden Go. Thought switch out earlier. Here it is.
It's still Terrastal. Oh, no.
No, it hasn't Terrastalized yet. We may, in fact, see it.
Has anyone Terrastalized yet?
No, you haven't seen any Terras. It's
like...
been a little bit of a slow Terra game. I think we might see it now because that Decidueye is definitely going to drop to Moonblast if it does not Terra right now.
And Steel's good. That's a good Terra. We're in this turn right now.
The big problem here for Gio, you have to decide: do you want Make It Rain for the big damage, or do you want Shadow Ball as your way to deal with Corviknight? Because you're gonna need to take down this Corviknight at some point, but you also need to get rid of this Primarina. The Primarina switches out. This could be big for Gio if this is read correctly. Corviknight switches in. Gonna see the Terra from Gio. Gotta be the Terra Steel Golden Go once more. Not gonna change any of the tight matchups here.
Honestly, so did he go for Make It Rain?
Terra in the other direction for the Decidueye for Aaron. Yeah, the Make It Rain would not be an ideal choice here. We hold our breaths to see what this choice is. First, we'll see the Whimsicott. Moonblast onto Corviknight. Nice little chunk of damage. And it is the Make It Rain. Okay. How much does this do to Decidueye, importantly? That's good damage to Decidueye, though.
Oh, and he...
Special attack drop comes through, but can Incineroar clean this up coming back in? The triple arrows onto the Golden Go. Will pick up the knockout with the critical hit.
Yeah.
It's the critical hit. It doesn't do it without the crit, but it does with the crit, and that's the 50% chance, and that might just decide the game by itself right there. There's nothing that'll stop the Primarina now. And that critical hit, I mean, this is... Aaron's team is very dangerous because you can have a lot of good play. You can kind of have the game won, and then critical hit comes out. That's Pokemon for you. And now I think this game's done. I think Aaron's going to clean this one up. Hyper Voice is going to... Yeah, I can't pick them both out exactly. And Incineroar Flare Blitz. We'll see how much some of these things do. Decidueye down from about 50% of its HP with Flare Blitz. But Primarina Hyper Voice should clean this one up here. Yep. And there it goes.
And that's game.
That's game number 2. Aaron Brok runs that one back, and we are heading to game 3 in our decider for this cup. Going the distance. This has been a real close set so far. I mean, you could argue that both of these games have kind of come down to possible critical hits from the Decidueye, which has a 50% chance to do a critical hit.
Yeah, that saved him in that game for sure, and cost him the other game.
And potentially cost him the first game. And so that's the big question is game number 3 is how does Geo reduce that as much as possible? Is there a way for Geo to play around that to go, okay, I'm not going to let myself have a chance to lose to getting critted. Does Geo change up the lead? Golden Go had to switch out immediately last game.
Right.
And Dragonite, I mean, that was important as well, as that Dragonite getting burned immediately. 2 extreme speeds would have gotten pretty close to knocking out Volcarona in that first 2 turns if it did not get burned immediately. So the question is, do you still leave the Dragonite and just say, I'm not gonna get Flame Body burned again? It's always a dangerous thing to think, is just, this time I won't get Flame Body burned, I'm gonna be fine.
I know, let's see if he risks this same lead again.
We're gonna see it. Final game, 1-1, Aaron Brok and Giovanni Costa. One of these two will go home with a cup victory, all the many championship points that gives you. Our last one before Baltimore, where the meta likely irons out a little bit there. It's going to be the same lead from Geo, Golden Go and Dragonite, and the same from Aaron as well, the Volcarona and the Corviknight. Will Geo go for the extreme speed into the Volcarona again? It would be such a gutsy call to go for that. But I think Aaron's probably has to be thinking about it too. Do I take 2 of these extreme speeds? Do I think I can play around that?
I know, does Geo go for his trick instead of...
That's also an option as well, though. Again, I mean, do you take a Heat Wave with this Golden Go if you leave it in? Potentially? No switches.
We're gonna see a Terra.
Terra from Geo. I think that might be the Dragonite. Yeah, Terra Normal Dragonite going for the extreme speed.
Hopefully no Flame Body.
Flame Body. Will it be enough to knock out the Volcarona, and will Flame Body activate? Golden Go will protect out of this first turn. Golden Go just choice specs protected. I want to keep that noted there. It is locked into protect. Extreme speed into the Volcarona.
Oh, it
33 HP remaining. Flame Body activates.
Wow.
2 30% chances on the Flame Body. The Citrus Berry activates. And it feels terrible that happening in turn number 1. Geo's not out of it, but that is a rough start, especially because Aaron now has the opportunity, 1, gets that big Heat Wave off, and 2, gets the bulk up on the Corviknight for free, no damage taken. And this Golden Go still has to switch out. It's choice specs locked into protect. It can't stay in on this.
What's your best switch? You can't even switch to Incineroar. You're just useless Intimidate.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, you can switch into... I mean, the thing about switching into Incineroar is not your Intimidates, but the fact that you get Fake Out, at least.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what you get out of it, but... Oh, that is rough.
What a crazy first start. Like, choice specs protect.
Choice specs protect and then just going for it all.
Alright, he withdraws.
Does bring out the Golden Go. Probably going to... No, it's a Whimsicott this time. That could be scary if the Brave Bird is clicked into that slot. Extreme Speed. Will this be enough?
Yep.
It is. Even while burned, 2 Extreme Speeds is enough to get the job done. Geo saying, I'll make my own luck. I get it done with 2 Extreme Speeds if I don't get burned. Even if I get burned, I'll get it done with 2 of them. Brave Bird does come out into the Whimsicott as well. Does have the Focus Sash, so it's able to take that. Corviknight takes a bit of damage and recoil. But Whimsicott down to just 1 HP now.
Now we see, if he's bringing this in, we'll probably expect the Terra Steel.
You'd imagine, yeah, just to, especially knowing that Dragonite is super locked into everything that it's doing right now.
Yeah, and you don't want to get Moon Blasted either.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Aaron's pretty safe this turn. He's got...
I think so, but at the same time, I think at this point, if you're Geo, you actually want to lose your Pokemon.
Yeah, you want a clean field, like a free switch back in.
And we don't know that Incineroar is in the back. We don't know what the fourth Pokemon
Oh yeah, we still hasn't been revealed.
Maybe it's Garchomp. It could be Garchomp, which would be a really nice play around. Whimsicott's actually going to protect. It's not going to go for the Tailwind just yet. Dragonite does go for the Extreme Speed, almost certainly into the Decidueye. Keep it honest. Do a little chunk of damage to it. That's a very small chunk of damage. Corviknight does get the Tailwind up. And Decidueye, triple arrows, that should take out the Dragonite. Indeed it does.
No problem.
No problem at all.
No
and the crit.
Crit mattered.
Crit. I mean, we know the crit will matter eventually, is the concerning part. So, we know that Golden Go's in the back. And Golden Go Shadow Ball does quite a bit to both of these Pokemon,
and
but it's the Garchomp.
We get a switch up here.
It is the switch up to the Garchomp. It has Stomping Tantrum, Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Protect. Stomping Tantrum will do a big amount of damage to that Decidueye. It is Life Orb, yeah. So Stomping Tantrum should knock out the Decidueye. It should handle the Corviknight pretty well, because if it ever tries to roost, it'll get knocked out. And you have the Golden Go in the back. The big thing for Geo right now is just get the Decidueye out of the way. That is most important. Get the Primarina out of the way. If you can set up, excuse me, if you can set up a one-on-one between Corviknight and Golden Go, as Geo, you win.
Yeah, you're good with just Shadow Ball, because the Corviknight can't really touch it.
Tailwind comes out from Whimsicott. Garchomp's fast, Stomping Tantrum. Is this enough to KO? It is. Decidueye gets dumped. And once again, Geo says, I'll make my own luck. I don't need to rely on a crit or a no crit. I will just get this guy out of the way.
You see Brave Bird into Garchomp. That does not
That is a lot more damage than I thought it would do, though.
Yeah,
but Corviknight takes a bunch of damage in return. And now the last Pokemon, Primarina here. I mean, critically, how much does... At this point, I think for Geo, you might actually go for... Well, no, Whimsicott... Does Whimsicott still have... Did Whimsicott get tail... Yeah, Whimsicott got Tailwind up. Do you... Like, okay, do you with Whimsicott just Moonblast and then go for like an Earthquake or something?
You could protect and go for
You could protect with Whimsicott as well, that is true.
It's just like, what it really comes down to what is Geo going to do with this Garchomp this turn. Like,
exactly.
It matters. He protects.
Garchomp will protect. Whimsicott will Encore. It will keep the Corviknight using Brave Bird. And that Brave Bird will connect into Whimsicott. So Whimsicott is now down. It is now down to the final 2 Pokemon for both of these trainers. Tiny bit of recoil for Corviknight. Primarina Hyper Voice, not going to connect. What does... And now the question is, without the Terra Steel, how much does Golden Go do with Make It Rain? Because I think that's actually the ideal choice now that Corviknight is down to fairly low HP and can't roost. Because if it could roost, you don't want to lock yourself into Make It Rain. But if it can't roost, can you cheese it just because you need that damage against Primarina?
Yeah, I think you almost want to go for Ruse because oh no, he's locked into
yeah,
Brave
it's
Bird.
still locked into Brave Bird.
Well, there's no reason not to Brave Bird Garchomp after the Protect, and then ooh, I hope that Primarina's just Hyper Voice, and hope Primarina's Hyper Voice hits one target on
Stomping Tantrum from the Garchomp. Good damage into Primarina.
Oh, it's not going to live this.
Is a Make It Rain going to do it? No, it's going to be the Shadow Ball. So Primarina does have an opportunity here.
We need a crit.
Corviknight gets knocked out. Ooh, I don't think Primarina is going to be able to do enough. Even with a crit, I don't think Hyper Voice is going to do enough to Golden Go.
Oh no, it wouldn't.
Certainly not enough. The next Hyper Voice will do it if it's able to get one more off. It's going to be a question, will a Shadow Ball do enough damage to this Primarina? We're talking about the special defense queen.
Oh, but it's Specs. Oh, no.
It's going to protect here. I don't think that does much for anybody. I think
Just
Tailwind
stop.
drops off, but I don't think it'll do much of anything. Specs Golden Go, the Shadow Ball.
Yeah, because
Tailwind peters out, but it was already faster
yeah.
when both were under Tailwind, so don't think it will matter.
Come on.
Golden Go Shadow Ball.
Low roll.
Can it get it done? Indeed it does. Giovanni Costa is your Cup champion at Gym Challenge. Maintains his reign over the SoCal region. Just an incredible performance altogether today.
Yes.
And I mean, going into our first regional of Regulation H, we saw a lot today.
Yeah, we saw some great battles, great plays from both sides.
Yeah, and even more than that, just seeing, I mean, I'd say the defining thing here was Tyranitar. So many teams are bringing Tyranitar, and Gio really answered that Tyranitar. I mean, he forced it out of the battle for the last 2 games of the series, even when Aaron was really playing around that Tyranitar, and really meant that Gio was pretty in control of a lot of that.
Yeah, even when you thought Aaron was in control, it turns out Gio was one step ahead.
Gio's always in control. He makes his own luck.
I always say he doesn't let you do anything. He did not let him get any of those strategies off.
That is it for us for today. We will be back in 2 weeks on Sunday. That is September 22nd, I believe. We're away for next week for Baltimore. Thanks to the staff working today, Taryn, Miguel, and Troy, and thank you to Nicholas for joining me on the Top Cut commentary.
Thank you for having me.